he helped me just by talking to him, listening to the stories and everything that went on. I ended up with sole custody of my son given to me by the dependency court in San Diego. And I want to thank him for that. And I had a couple
congratulations. Welcome back. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I am Erin Carranza with attorney Vincent Davis. Let's take another caller. Ty from Illinois, do you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
You know what, I have quite a story, but I won't go into all the details. I have a couple questions as well. I've just would like to say that I've spoken with Mr. Davis many times back. I had a juvenile dependency court case that was started in April of 2016. At the time, Mr. Davis was on in the mornings on Saturday, and he helped me just by talking to him, listening to the stories and everything that went on. I ended up with sole custody of my son given to me by the dependency court in San Diego, and I want to thank him for that. And I had a couple.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
No, I didn't say anything.
No, I was going to tell you, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So anyways, my son was born tox positive back in 2016. His mom and I weren't together. Somehow or another, they said that he was removed from the parents, but we weren't together. When it was all said and done, it found out that that wasn't the case. And then I think it was the case opened in May, and then April of 2016, and then in April of 2017, he was placed with me, and in October 4th of 2017, the case closed, and again, I was given sole legals and sole physicals, what the recommendations were. I spoke with my attorney at the time, and, Mom seemed to be trying a little bit, so we went ahead and agreed to having the sole physical and the joint legal, which ended up being a nightmare for me. Since that time, the courts have awarded me sole legal as well. One of the things that I found interesting in San Diego County is when we went to family court eventually, they gave me the sole legal, but the sole physical was then cut to like a timeshare where she had 2 supervised visits a month for 2.5 hours at a time. Now, but it took away the sole physical. They said they didn't do sole physical, and I didn't understand that. So that's one of my questions is how the dependency court could rule and give me a sole physical custody, and then that change in family court. Since that time, though I've moved to the state of Illinois, I was allowed to do that. And Mom has another CPS case with my son's half-brother out in San Diego. And that case has been going on since 2018. The child is now 3 years old, and Mom most recently has been incarcerated and is looking at possible natural life for a sentencing in at least 20 years. I've tried to communicate with CWS out in San Diego about adopting the other child because I have his sibling, and my understanding is after 2 years, they're going to place with Dad. My second question to this was, what rights do I have, or does my son have, in order to have a relationship with his brother, if any? And because they had told me, well, we can't tell you much, Ty, but what we can tell you is this is going to be placed with his father, and you should stay close with Dad because, again, but Dad and I aren't close. And so I don't know how to – I'm wondering, do I have any legal rights for my son? And then maybe Mr. Davis or yourself could help me with that. And the other thing is I'm in the state of Illinois. I was found to be the biological father, the presumed father, given all custody of my son. I had not done the name change on the birth certificate as of yet. So when this most recent thing with his mom and everything, and it looks like she's going to be gone for quite a while, I reached out to San Diego County, and I was wanting to go ahead and go about filing for the name change. However, they said, well, now that I'm an Illinois resident, resident, and that I should do it from here. The last time, however, we were in San Diego County Court, the judge specifically said that this case would stay there and would not leave. And I know this isn't really just a CPS question, but that's my story, and I do have a couple, like I said, those quick questions. If maybe one of you could answer me on those.
Okay, Ty. First of all, you mentioned the old radio show that was on Saturday mornings. That goes back quite a number of years.
It sure does. Yes. Yes, it does.
But here, I have some good news for you. Regarding the name change, I would go ahead and file the case in San Diego County. There are a lot of different reasons. I don't have to go into that right now, but just to suffice it to say, that's what I would do. You could do it. You could do it in Illinois as well, but I think that you should do it in San Diego for a variety of reasons. Now, what rights do you have with respect to custody visitation with the other child? That's a very interesting question. It depends on a lot of things. I mean, it's a very, in-depth, sophisticated analysis regarding paternity and rights of that nature in California. California actually has about, I want to say 5 or 6 different types of fathers. Right?
Yes, Mr. Davis. I'm aware of this. In fact, the social worker had reached out to me in July of last year, before social workers changed for this child, and had suggested that, or asked me rather, would I be willing to do a paternity test? Now, I said, well, first she asked me, was I this other child's father? And I explained to her, just like you said to me, I said, ma'am, one thing I know is going through your system, that there are many types of fathers, and biological is not necessarily the top one. You've got the alleged, you've got the presumed, and the presumed father is someone who has stepped up and acted as a father. And I was told at one point that you could even have 2 presumed parents. However, I said to her, if I take this test, of course, I know that I will fail. I will not
2 minutes.
be a biological father. It's not biologically possible. Except for listening to your caller earlier about, we did have a motherless draw maybe, so I don't know. But the thing is that what you just said, Mr. Davis, is true. Now, before this case closes, I should say, the newer social worker, when I spoke to her and said, you know what, I'm thinking of doing this, and she said, well, the other father was already found to be the presumed father, so I couldn't do that. So is that true?
No, it's not. So
that's what I thought.
As of, it seems like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more, California passed a law that a child can have more than 2 parents. And I've been in a case where there's been like 3 or 4 presumed fathers, right? All fighting for custody and or visitation. What you have to do is, if you want custody or visitation with the child, you need to file something in the juvenile court, and you need to do it now.
Sure.
And by the way, under the juvenile laws, you are considered a relative because you're the parent, maybe step-parent of the sibling. So,
Sure.
Those siblings have a right in certain circumstances to be placed together. But if the bio dad is also a presumed dad and they're going to give the child to him, he might edge you out. But it's yet to be seen because the child's not with him.
Sure.
And in these cases, anything can happen. Ty,
sure. Yeah, I'm aware of that.
I got to take another break, but if you want to talk about this some more, give me a call at my office, and I'll talk to you on Monday or Tuesday, 888-888-6582. And we'll get more in depth. I always like to talk to people, have these kinds of interesting legal, analysis and legal issues. It's just not the same old, juvenile court CPS issue. This is a very interesting issue, and it has to do with paternity. So give me a call, and I want to thank you for calling. Thank you for listening all these years, and call us back. Call us back next month or something. Give us an update. Okay, Ty? This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. We'll be back right after these messages.